Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's good to be back with you again. Thank you for being here, Ms. Gustafson. I just came from the Budget Committee hearing on the administration's FY24 budget request, which charts trillion-dollar deficits into perpetuity and adds trillions to the $32 trillion in debt. So I'm in a mood to look at must-haves versus would like to have. And when I want to really see what Congress is required to do, what the federal government is required to do versus what it likes to do, I go to the source, and I go to Article 1, Section 8. And going through the different bureaus that you have overview, that you have jurisdiction over, I'm not finding a lot in Article 1, Section 8. So ITA, BIS, EDA, MBDA, BEA, Census Bureau. Let's talk about the census. Let's talk about 2020 census. There were massive problems with the 2020 census. And I note in your testimony that you have a section titled Ensuring an Accurate 2030 Census. And I'm glad you're getting a head start on 2030, but the problems with 2020 still really haven't been dealt with. What we see is that populations that were undercounted included the states of Arkansas, Florida, Illinois, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Texas. The original census reported that Florida needed only 171,000 more residents to gain another congressional seat, but the survey showed Florida was undercounted by over 750,000 people. The Bureau said that Texas needed only 189,000 more people to gain another congressional seat, but the survey showed that Texas was undercounted by 560,000 people. Minnesota would have lost a congressional seat if it had had 26 fewer residents. But the survey showed the state was overcounted by 216,000 people. Rhode Island would have lost a seat if the Census Bureau had counted 19,000 fewer residents, but it was overcounted by more than 55,000 people. So what you have is a massive shift, really, that would have resulted in about a 6-state shift if current trends apply, and that the alarm bells were set off very early, and about not only about the influence of the pandemic, which was proven not to be borne out in the numbers, because you actually had increased flight from blue states to red states rather than less flight. So one thing that is proving to be of concern is this use of a differential privacy procedure and the contribution of that to essentially intentionally changing the results and the introduction of false statistics into the numbers to achieve the results that we achieved. Can you comment on that? And I'd just like to hear how you all preceded the census to kind of ensure that it would have been accurate versus what you're doing now to kind of review what the were and why.
So you are, of course, correct that we are that planning for 2030 is well underway, as is normal in the census, and to that end we are performing oversight in that area. But we certainly still are doing work in the area of 2020. We are working on things like the post-enumeration survey. There were a lot of questions about group quarters, so our work there does continue apace. I will tell you that I cannot speak eloquently of. I do understand the issue of differential privacy. I do not know off the top of my head. I can't make that. I can't make that connection to the things that the Census Bureau does in the name of differential privacy for those purposes as it relates to the count. I'm not aware of that. I'm not sure what that connection is, so that I can't really answer answer that question. Unfortunately, I'm sorry about that, but, you know.
Can you commit to looking into the addition of that and the impact that it had on the results? Because not only did it have an impact on the Constitution of this Congress, but the appropriation of funds
Right.
is, unless we correct for that, we're going to be doubling down on an error, Mr. Chairman. We're going to be sending money based on census data that is false to states that don't deserve it at the expense of states that do deserve it. And so if we need to actually make the corrections in our own legislation to ensure that taxpayer funds are appropriately sent out. So I would urge that we both have some work to do.
Right,
So thank
right.
you.
Thank you.